So, hello, welcome back to another episode of the SDWT Tactics Podcast. Today we are gonna finish with A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. It's been some time that I already wanted to say wasted there, but not been the case. Really great book summary, but unfortunately I've just left one fucking paragraph, because I wasn't able to go through that as well, because I don't want to push everything into one episode. Doesn't feel that right, doesn't feel good. It's also not that of a good experience, and I've seen that, when I cut things and I notice, it's just getting into the drag area, things get just worse and fucked up, and I don't even want to listen to myself at that point. So yeah, let's go through that one last chapter. Well, it's not one paragraph, but at least one chapter. Humanity's evolution to a new Earth. Is this the last thing? Yes, it is. Just to make sure, The next step in human evolution is not inevitable, but for the first time in the history of our planet, it can be a conscious choice. Who is making that choice? You are, apparently. I don't know about it. No, we do that. And who are you? Consciousness that has become conscious of itself, which is pretty meta if you think about it, but I think it is great. And before I forget about it, I should indeed, I'm having my settings there. I'm actually going to show you. There is one section from the input audio, and I'm going to make it slightly higher. That should be good, I guess. It shouldn't be in the territory of death. So maybe 63. Maybe let's put it around, 65 I think should be fine. So that it's not spiking. I'm also seeing the audio there. I could also show you them. Let's just, put it in the middle of these two things. So when you're having a look at this thing, it's getting pretty meta now. There you can see the spike in it. And when it is in the red area, it's not that amazing. But when it is just way too low, then it is also not that amazing, because it's just way too silent. And doing that post is, something to think about and something to work on then, and yada, yada, yada. It is a bit easier when you think and care about it at first. Anyway, one thing we do know: life will give you whatever experience is most helpful for the evolution of your consciousness, apparently. Anybody who is one with what he or she does is building the new Earth. As the new consciousness emerges, some people will feel called upon to form groups that reflect the enlightened consciousness. Enlightened collectives, I guess, will fulfill an important function in the arising of the new consciousness. Just as egoic collectiveness pulls you into unconsciousness and suffering, the enlightened collective can be a vortex for consciousness that will accelerate the planetary shift. That's amazing, things get astronomical now. What the fuck is going on? There is the dream and there is the dreamer of the dream. The dream is a short-lived play of forms. It is the world, relatively real, but not absolutely real. Then there is the dreamer, the absolute reality in which the forms come and go. The dreamer is not the person is part of the dream. The dreamer is the substratum. Let's actually look that up, because I don't fucking know what that is. An underlying layer or substance, in particular a layer of rock or soil beneath the surface of the ground. I see. In which the dream appears, that which makes the dream possible. It is the absolute behind the relative, the timeless behind time, the consciousness in and behind form. The dreamer is consciousness itself, who you are. To awaken within the dream is our purpose now. When we are awake within a dream, the ego-created earth drama comes to an end, and a more, banning and wondrous dream arises. Banning. What does banning mean? Kindly, kind, warm-hearted, good-natured, friendly, warm. I see. I didn't know about that. This is the new earth. The new earth arises as more and more people discover that their main purpose in life is to bring their light of consciousness into this world, and so use whatever they do as a vehicle for consciousness. As the new consciousness is beginning to emerge on the planet, an increasing number of people no longer needs to be shaken to have an awakening. They embrace the awakening process voluntarily, even while still engaged in the outward cycle of growth and expansion. When that cycle is no longer usurped by the ego, the spiritual dimension will come into this world through the outward movement. Though speech, action, creation, as powerfully as through the return movement, stillness, being, and dissolution of form. Fulfilling your primary purpose is laying the foundation for a new reality, a new earth. Once that foundation is there, your external purpose becomes charged with spiritual power because your aims and intentions will be one with the evolutionary impulse of the universe. The doing unfolds not only more easily, but more powerfully when a dimension of being is acknowledged and so becomes primary. The arising of that ununifying field of awareness between human beings is the most essential form in relationships on the new earth. On the new earth, old age will be universally recognized and highly valued as a time for the flowering of consciousness. On the new earth, enjoyment will replace wanting as the as the motivating power behind people's action. Collective human consciousness, I just thought about things. Collective human consciousness and life on Earth are intrinsically connected. A new heaven is the emergence of a transformed state of human consciousness, and a new Earth is its reflection in the physical realm. The foundation for a new Earth is as a new heaven, the awakened consciousness. The Earth external reality is only its outer reflection. The arising of a new heaven and by implication a new earth are not future events that are going to make us free. Nothing is going to make us free because only the present moment can make us free. That realization is the awakening. Awakening as a future event has no meaning because awakening in the realization of presence. So the new heaven, the awakened consciousness, is not a future state to be achieved. A sane, balanced, and fruitful human life is a dance between the two dimensions that make up reality, form and space. Most people are so identified with the dimension of form, with sense, perceptions, thoughts, and emotions that the vital hidden half is missing from their lives. Their identification with form keeps them trapped in ego. A new species is arising on a planet. It is arising now, and you are it. Which would be amazing, but to be part of its species, one must be enlightened. Doesn't that have to be the case? I guess so, it would at least make sense. And I am not yet. I see, though, that my ego, especially in the past few, days, weeks, whatever you want to call it, maybe months even, my ego has been increasingly dominant and prominent. Which is not good, really not. And I've seen that, and I've also noticed that it is not a good thing. It's actually pretty horrible. But one can only work on that, and one can only work on it while just not judging oneself, basically. It is not easy. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that that it is easy, but one does what one can do, and when you do your best, you do your best. But I do want to, in the end, recreate our feelings and our thoughts and how we feel about things, our opinions. Basically, the way we live is determined by us, ourselves, and by the thoughts that we're having and the way we live our lives. And I would also heavily consider the media that we are surrounding ourselves with is pretty important, and does indeed alter one's way of seeing things. To just communicate it so tremendously difficult unnecessarily is just the case. I don't wanna, yeah. I'm gonna see the next time. I do hope that I've been able to do it well. The whole summary thing. I'm gonna see the next time. Bye bye.